Welcome to the Prime Health Podcast with your host, Dr. Derek Barron with your host, Dr. Derek Barron. Dr. Barron interviews doctors, wellness experts, and healthcare leaders who are revolutionizing how we approach health and longevity. The Prime Health Podcast explores breakthrough science, personal and patient stories, and practical insights that are shaping the future of health and wellness. So sit back, listen in, and prepare to transform how you think about your path towards Prime Health with Dr. Barron and his special guest.
Welcome back to the Prime Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Derek Barron, and I'm here to bring you cutting-edge insights and practical strategies from leading healthcare experts for your journey to prime health in life and business. Now, today I want you to think about this. Healthcare isn't about quick fixes or pills, and my guest today, Dr. Nicole Payne of Quiessence Medspa, is a sports medicine physician who decided to flip the Medspa model on its head. Her goal isn't quick fixes. It's helping people move better and feel better by rebuilding function from the cellular level using regenerative care and lifestyle change. I'm probably as excited to hear what she has to say as you are, so stay tuned. Just a quick message here from our sponsor, Grow Solutions. We partner to transform passionate healthcare practitioners into profitable practice owners without the overwhelm or guesswork. Grow Solutions eliminates stressors in the business such as new patient or client acquisition, marketing and growth strategies, reducing operational chaos with proven systems, frameworks, and SOPs. And yes, we do help you with AI and those AI bots because they're coming whether we like it or not. Grow Solutions is not an agency or vendor. We are a growth partner. So if you've ever thought this, I'm too busy to grow, I'm too slow to scale, or too overwhelmed to fix it, we are your growth solution. So if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word grow below or feel free to DM me on any of the social platforms. But you came here for a reason today, and that's to hear from our amazing guest, and that's Dr. Payne. And I want to welcome you to the Prime Health Podcast, Dr. Payne, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Excellent. Thank you, Derek. Thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Payne, affectionately known as Dr. Nikki in my community, and I'm a sports medicine physician. So I'm trained in physical medicine and rehabilitation. That is the route that I got to sports medicine. But musculoskeletal medicine has been my passion my entire life. And as far as building a spa, that has been the thing that's kind of been in the background of my mind for over 30 years. And over the last couple of years, I've really been trying to meld my two passions, which is musculoskeletal medicine and where I spend almost all of my free time, which is in the spa. And so over the course of, we'll probably say about 5 years, I've really been trying to learn the industry because I wasn't in the aesthetic industry. I'm medicine. And how do I make my two passions something that's out of my head into reality that I can bring to you? So that was really the concept of how Manifest Medical, which is manifesting me, manifesting my dreams, created Quiessence Medspa.
And so I love to hear that. Yeah, with the manifestation part, that's fantastic. But was there a point in time, Dr. Payne or Dr. Nikki, excuse me, was there a point in time that you basically said, you know, something happened in my life, or I knew from when I was 7 years old, I wanted to have a career in medicine?
When I decided I wanted to become a doctor, I was probably late preteen, kind of 13, 14-ish or whatnot. And it was really a surprise to everyone because I was really the person who kind of liked, you know, of course, at that age, you're playing with your dolls, you're doing all sorts of girly things. And I was really passionate about animal care. So when I decided I was either going to be a veterinarian or an orthopedic surgeon, that was kind of my thought process in that early teen developmental stage. And a lot of people didn't believe me. They kind of said, yeah, she'll probably be a veterinarian, but no one saw that whole doctor thing coming.
Yeah.
And it was really just a manifestation of me really believing in myself. I was always a person that even just in my TV choices, you know, just imagine a young, you know, I don't know, 10-year or younger watching things like Trapper John and Quincy, you know, MD. So those were things I was completely enamored. And that was before I even knew that I wanted to be a doctor. It was just the thing that drew me to it. And so it was probably God kind of saying, hey, this is kind of what I'm planting seeds for you in your future. And I just didn't realize it at that time. And then so over the course of the years, I actually worked for like a summer in a veterinary clinic and decided that that wasn't for me. And so I said, well, I guess I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon. And the reason I chose that at that age is because that was the only profession that I knew that dealt with the musculoskeletal system.
Okay.
And so if you can kind of think of like this kid thinking about medicine, right? When I chose the musculoskeletal system, I like that it is what it is, right? So when I thought about things like neurosurgery, I pictured surgeons sewing nerves back together. And I said, no, that's just too tedious. I couldn't possibly do that. Now, of course, a neurosurgeon does much more than that.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? For me, the musculoskeletal system and the bones and things of that nature, it just seemed obvious. If it's broken, fix it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to fix it. And so that's kind of what brought me into that realm. And I was really laser focused on it for many years. And
Yeah.
so I ended up becoming a physiatrist, which is the name of the profession, shorter name than physical medicine rehabilitation specialist.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even know about that field until my third or fourth year of medicine. And I had done so many orthopedic rotations that there were literally no more to do. And I still needed to do some electives. So my advisor said, why don't you do an elective in PMR? Okay, we'll
Okay.
just shorten that. And long story short, here I am as a physiatrist doing non-operative sports medicine.
Okay. Well, I love that. So there had to be something along that way as you went through school that, because you had said it was you wanted to find the blend of them, but what do you feel was missing in, or what do you feel is missing in like traditional med spas that Quiessence Med Spa can do that's unique because of how you bring your musculoskeletal background into play?
And so as a person who goes to spas all the time, I rarely see the spa that has the musculoskeletal component. And I won't say that there's absolutely none out there, but it's not the overwhelming presence. Actually, when I started this endeavor with Quiescence, before I even really had a name for it, I tried to align my musculoskeletal skills with one of our local spas. They're already
Oh,
doing the massage, they're already doing the facial. So you go there, you walk out feeling good, and that's what spas do, right? You kind of feel relaxed, you feel rejuvenated. I wanted to use my skill set to take it the next step further and say, all right, you're going to work on the muscles, you're going to work on the feel good and the relaxation, but let me build you up. Let me help regenerate the background. And so
mhm.
that you're doing more than just feeling good in this moment. You're making real change for the things that are holding us back. So a lot of our chronic musculoskeletal conditions, maybe it's a tennis elbow or a plantar fasciitis or just something like that. You don't really think that, hey, can I get that taken care of in the spa? At
Yeah.
Quiessence, you can. And you have a sports medicine specialist doing it. And
Yeah.
so I'm not farming this out. This is a passion of mine. So even as I hire my staff and they kind of start to do the facials and massage, because I don't have that staff yet,
Mhm.
I still want to do this part. And so
Mm.
that's kind of how it evolved. I said, well, when one door closes, that just meant that it was meant for me to build something that I had complete control over. So
Yeah.
all of the things that I offer in Quiescence Med Spa, in some way, shape, or form, builds from the cellular level up. And I really want to kind of have you feeling like a brand new person when you leave. Now that doesn't happen overnight. This is not quick fixes. The
Yeah.
injectables that I offer, yes, those are the quick replenishing type vitamins, or maybe it's for immunity or whatever our injections are for. But we
Mhm.
also have to address the underlying problem that kind of has you saying, I need help in the
Yeah.
first place. And
Yeah.
that's where I feel that the biggest impact of having the spa meet the medical team. And
Okay.
that's where Quiescence blends it together.
Yeah. And I can see that blend, like they blend. I gotta be careful how like they bleed off or they feed off one another because they can come in for maybe more of the sports medicine treatments. And then they realize, oh, you offer more here from the spa. I don't have to go to this other spa. I can get it all done because they love you the way you care for them. And then the same thing can be they're in there getting a facial or some regenerative treatment, and they realize, well, she can help me with my pickleball issue as well. That I can help with
Yeah.
that. So you have the ability to help them in more ways than one.
No, absolutely. And that's really the way that we kind of design the initial consultation. So are there people who say, hey, I just want X? And yes, if X is available on Quiescence, we can give it, but one, it has to be medically safe to
Okay.
do. So I don't just give it just because you say you want it. I have to educate myself about you and you
Okay.
about what I'm giving to you. Okay, so it
Yeah.
has to be something that's safe for you. Now, most of the injectables, they are safe. There's really very few contraindications or reasons that we can't give them, but I still have to do the deep dive. So
Mhm.
I love that people come in the door and we kind of spend that hour consultation time really just getting to know what your overall needs are. Maybe you're that person that just kind of feels chronic low energy or fatigue or just, I'm just so busy, I just can't take the time to do X, Y, and Z. Well,
Yeah.
usually there's some product within Quiessence that we can address that. And so we really just do our consultation, we come up with a treatment plan, and then we come up with a schedule that works well for you. Now,
Okay.
I think that Quiescence fits very well into the busy lifestyle of people because I'm only open on the weekend. So you don't have to take off work or try and find time to get into Quiescence. So my
Mhm.
initial consultations are only available on the weekends, and then I can schedule according to your needs sometime during the week. But only I can schedule that because I still work the primary job at the hospital.
Mm.
And I think that it would be a recipe for disaster if I just opened up where people could just automatically schedule at the end of the day. One, I
Yeah.
never know exactly what time I'm going to get done at the primary job because it's a hospital.
Yeah.
Two, it's very hard to work a full day at work and then open your computer and say, surprise, you have 10 requests for visits that are all over. So I'm
Right.
mobile. I have a certain radius that I travel, but I am mobile. I do
Okay.
some treatments in my home. And also, depending on the scenario and the client, then I come to your home.
Mhm.
And so those things are available on the website.
Okay. And I'll make sure to share the links of that so everybody learns what you do. I'll ask more questions about that. But I do want to ask Dr. Nikki, from the quiescent standpoint in the med spa that you have, how do regenerative treatments change the way you think about beauty and aging and the overall vitality?
So what I love about regenerative treatment is it works at the cellular level. And so it's not just a superficial treatment, so that's going to give you a temporary relief. We're working at the level that really addresses the biology of what's going on. And so, as a biologist at heart, because I was a biology major, if I'm going to incorporate a treatment into my clinic, it has to enhance and match the biology or the biological processes. And so, with regenerative medicine for aesthetics and anti aging, we're looking at where that cellular, basically the life cycle of the cell, what kind of nutrients do you need to either boost that or enhance that or manipulate that in any kind of way? So certainly in aesthetic medicine there's the topical treatments and the I hate the word superficial because there's a little bit of a negative connotation with it when you think of things like Botox and fillers, and there's certainly a role for those. I'm not saying that you can't or shouldn't get those. I'm not
Mhm.
currently offering those right now, but it doesn't mean that as I grow into my own space that won't become available as well.
Yeah.
But if we can work from the cellular level and get your cells to look younger, feel healthier, and just as far as address the biology of the cells and aging, that's where I want to address things. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of how the regenerative medicine plays a role. We use regenerative medicine all the time in sports medicine, whether it's platelet-rich plasma or now, I'm not doing that either because, again, I'm working in my home. And so
Mm.
as I branch out, my services will also branch out. My service menu will
Mhm.
grow as I grow. Um, the things that I offer from a regenerative standpoint are non invasive. And so I'm using things like low level light laser to boost the collagen synthesis and blood flow in certain phases of your musculoskeletal disorder. I'm using things like shockwave, which also works at the cellular level to reboot collagen, and it uses kind of a transfer of energy and promotes vascularization in a different way. And
Mhm.
so those different treatments are really kind of available or dependent upon which phase of your chronic injury. So laser is kind of more for that acute phase, that acute inflammation, whereas the shock wave tends to come in more into play for those chronic conditions.
Okay. Large menu that will grow, which is great for your current and or future clients as you go along with that. So in healthcare and in the med spa, especially the way Quiescence is forming out there, trust is a big situation. You say that you do consultations. So why is personalization so important in regenerative medicine and aesthetics?
Well, because not everybody needs the same treatment. If
Okay.
you were to just go to a website and say, I'm interested in that, I'm going to get it. Can you walk into some med spas and they say, I want it, ergo, I can have it? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's safe. I want to make sure that what we're doing for you isn't just, hey, let's just make a quick buck and send you out the door. I mean, I actually care about your outcomes. And I want to make sure that what I'm doing for you is doing something for you. I also want to educate my patients on here's the product, here's the risk, here's the purpose. And that's the way I practice medicine in the hospital as well. I get a lot of referrals just for, let's say, injections of steroids. And most people would come to my clinic and they'd say, okay, well, they sent me for a steroid injection, so here's my arm. And I said, well, let's kind of pump the brakes on that. First, we need to know what the treatment is, what the purpose is, what are we risking, why can't we do it every time you ask it? And usually I tell my folks there's something we're doing for you right now and something we're doing to you down the line. Mm. And so that's kind of how my consultations go just in my regular practice. And I'm carrying that same concept into Quiessence.
Yeah. And I think that that's a different approach. This is not to say anything negative against med spas that are out there, but they surely aren't taking the true clinical approach that you're taking. They are, because I would assume that if somebody sees on your menu, I want that service, and they come in, if there's a contraindication, you're probably not going to offer that. Versus maybe some med spas are like, they ask for it, we're going to give it to them. That's the difference of having a consultation with a true medical provider.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will admit that as medical providers, we're not really taught the business of medicine or how to run a business at all. So normally we're taught the trade of medicine, and then we're kind of plucked into business models. But there's someone else who's dictating how many patients you see, how much time you get. There's even someone else who determines what the fee schedule, things of that nature. So there's so much that we're not in control of. And what I loved about creating my own is that, you know what, especially since my overhead is low right now, I don't feel the pressure of saying, okay, I have to see 10 people today. So I can take my time and really just say, this is the safe practice for you. Okay. And then we'll develop our treatment plan over time. And I come with the mindset that if you do the right care and you offer compassionate care and you do safe treatments, the practice is going to grow organically, as opposed to doing everything I can to get the numbers in the door, because that's what the business model says. Yeah. Then I feel like that too is another difference or distinction at Quiessence.
Very good distinction. There's ethics and integrity in medicine, and there are those that don't have it. Unfortunately, it happens sometimes. So, Dr. Nikki, in Quiessence, Medspa, and with your background of what you've done, I guess, can you give me a blend of what are some of the common patients that may come in, and or some of the treatments that are there? And is there something that some people are like, wow, I had no idea she offers something like that in her practice?
Oh, absolutely. So when people do view the website, the first thing they see is actually IV hydration treatments. And I'm not doing IV hydration in my home because there's just a different level of risk when you're doing IV versus intramuscular or sub-Q. So they kind of scan all of my services or whatnot, and they say, okay, I see that she offers a little bit of shockwave, a little bit of laser, but it really just touches the surface of it. So they don't really come in asking for those things. They say Quiessence, Medspa, hydration, nutrients. So that's usually what they come in the door for. Okay. They're always surprised to say, hey, I didn't realize that you really offered the whole person treatment. And I actually love that there's like surprise. Not only can we do this quick fix thing, because that's usually what that busy professional person is looking for. Like, okay, I found some time to carve a couple hours out. I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to go get an IV or whatever. Okay. But once they have that sit down with me and they say, oh, I didn't even realize that I could address this chronic low energy or this chronic fatigue or this achy shoulder or that plantar fasciitis that, no one has been talking to me about, or I've had several injections. Steroid injections are nothing more than an anti-inflammatory, and they last a certain amount of time, which varies for each individual, but they are not reparative. And so you find yourself coming back into the door and saying, okay, it worked, but here. And they actually do some damage to soft tissue. So again, that's the trade-off of what we're doing for you right now and what we're setting you up for down the line. Okay. And so I love that people are very surprised, and they usually walk out with some information. If they came in for an injectable, they're asking me about my coaching. If they came in for the coaching and they say, hey, I want to lose some weight and I want to change my habits of health and just sign me up for all of that, then they are happy to say that we have some kind of quick injection that boosts your energy or affects immunity because of this season with everybody having colds and flus. That's a big request right now. And not only can I help you feel better, help you start to look better because we're working from the cellular level. I don't know why I'm stumbling over that word today. But we also have glow parties, okay? And that's a little bit of skincare where I kind of bring the service to your home for up to 6 people. You can add add-ons and injectables to that in that scenario as well. So that's not something that's been available in the Berkshires. And so that's one of those things that's great if you just want to pamper yourself, if you just want a girls' night in, or if it's your birthday, you can just make up a reason to have it, right? So we're going to do a real assessment of your skin. We're going to determine what your skincare needs are. And at the end of that glow party, there's also going to be a link to the company, which I work with, Intelligent Nutrients. Because they work at the cellular level, I'm going to come up with a new word there. And because I believe in the biology of and the concepts, philosophy of their company. So I've partnered with them. At the end of the glow party, you get a link to buy directly from the company with my discount. So
okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Sounds fun. I live in Idaho. I'm not where you're at on the East Coast, so I can't quite enjoy that. Maybe someday.
Yes.
Maybe someday I'll get my wife to go over there.
I love it.
Yeah. Dr. Nikki, you had mentioned that you do some coaching, and is that towards weight loss specifically? Can you share a little bit more about that?
So the coaching includes weight loss, and that's usually the main goal that people come to me for. But it's really about identifying what we call the micro habits of health. That was actually the first service that I started with. I maybe started that three years or so ago, and I started as a client myself. So of course I wanted to lose weight, and my goal was only 20 pounds. And I could always lose 10 pounds easily. And then, I start doing all sorts of things that gets me back to where I was. So what I realized in working with my coach is that I wasn't addressing those micro habits that got me to that weight in the first place. So it was really more of an educational process. And how do I change those subconscious things that I do that gets me to that weight that's unhealthy for me? And it wasn't always about weight. It was about your sleep. It's about your hydration. It's about your exercise level. I will admit that I got to the point that I was about 200 pounds. I could not walk a flight of stairs without being short of breath. I was just really feeling like a bad example as a sports medicine physician.
Sure.
And this was something that took years to get to that level. But I would literally wait 5 rounds for the elevator to come instead of taking 1 flight of stairs. I'm like, nope, I'm going to just wait. And I said, what kind of example? I really felt like a hypocrite. I'm telling you what to do, but I can't walk a flight of stairs. And so I started working with my coach. And I said, my goal is 20 pounds of weight loss, and I want to be able to walk the stairs. So my clinic is on the 5th floor. And so slowly I started losing the weight by, following what the program offers, working with my coach, working on those micro habits. And the weight was probably coming off. I guess on average, you lose about 12 pounds a month. Okay. If you're doing all the right things and being strict with your program. And not everybody loses it that fast. Some people kind of tailor off a little bit, but that's the benefit and the beauty of working with the coach. So that is one of my first services that I offered before I even thought about, hey, let's make it a spa. It just fits so well with the concept that I just could not fold it in.
Yeah. I love that. So I want to switch gears a little bit here from the business perspective. So with Quiessence Medspa, what's your focus right now on potentially the growth of your business?
Well, right now we are really just opening. So I've had maybe a few clients, 4 clients or so in the home setting, and I want to develop the radius of travel where I come to your home for certain services. And then I will start to, once I get enough clientele or the service line that I offer really needs a bigger space, then my intent is to move into an actual clinic. And then I can hire a nurse and I can hire the esthetician and, things of that nature. So I can start to grow my staff. So right now it's minimal hours on the weekends, and I'm comfortable with that as I'm learning how to run the business because I'm actually doing everything myself. So I am the publicist, and I'm the manager, and I'm the provider, and I'm the cleaner. Yeah, I mean, everything that has to be done. And it's
Yeah.
such a steep learning curve as far as what it takes to get off the ground and running,
Mhm.
and learning the things that you don't know, and learning when to reach out for help and when to say, this part I can do. So the physician mindset, you kind of tend to be that very independent. I got this. I can do it. That's the culture. If
Yeah.
it must be done, you must do it. And
Hmm.
so you kind of learn to delegate. And I mean, obviously, there's a hierarchy in medicine, and you have your different levels of providers, and that's kind of how we see as many patients as we see. But
Hmm.
we do become very independent minded
Yeah.
from that standpoint. So right now I'm working everything by myself, and I'm intentionally keeping the numbers low. So
Hmm.
as the flow gets more fluid
Okay.
and the staff grows organically, then I too will grow. I would
Yeah.
love to see it at a level where I can actually franchise it, and I can step back from mainstream medicine and work
Yeah.
more in the spa.
Okay. Well, I love to hear that. It's always great when people have visions for themselves. I'll ask you a little bit about that in just a few moments here, but I can appreciate that. It's very true that when you are a physician, as a medical doctor in that case, you don't always have somebody in the room that can help you. What's the next decision I have to make? Because there's something on the line. When it comes to the med spa, hopefully it's not that necessarily life or death. Not that your PMR practice is always that way, but you're making the right moves of growing into your practice, your med spa practice in a healthy way that makes you comfortable as you learn. I think we should always stretch ourselves a little bit, push the limits, which I don't think that you're afraid to do that. And as it grows, it'll happen. It's going to organically happen for you. Yeah, which is great. No, yeah, absolutely. So I would ask this question from, as challenges come about, are you implementing AI in your practice in any fashion?
I'm learning to get comfortable doing that. I actually took a course. It was just a few hours course
Hmm.
offered by the Small Business Development Center here in town on
Oh,
how
good.
to use AI as your virtual assistant,
Oh,
instead of just kind of looking up one thing here or there. So I have been incorporating that, and it has been a game changer.
good.
And it really all matters in how you talk to it and how you pose your question, as far as your input equals your output,
Yeah.
from that standpoint. So I'm learning that. I will admit that I don't know when I became of the age that some of these electronic things seem intimidating. But
Mhm.
my model for myself, and as a mentor, because I do mentor youth, is to do it afraid. If you waited until you felt comfortable with stage X, or comfortable stepping out on your own, or even comfortable applying to medicine, right? Some things in life you just have to step out on faith. And I'm a
Yeah.
Christian, so there's a lot of faith talk in everything that I do.
Mhm.
But you just have to say, you know what? The electronics, the AI, the website building, even, um, has been quite the intimidating process. But I am learning so much. And
Yeah.
I think one of the most important pieces of advice that I've received is, it's not going to be perfect when you first put it out there. It's going to be something that is dynamic. And I did a lot of building in the background, thinking that when I finally opened the doors, that everything was going to be set and perfect. And
Yeah.
it has evolved so much from the time I talked to my first consultant to where I am today.
Yeah.
And as long as I kind of stay true to my concept of what I want to build, I have to be fluid in how it gets there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very good. You're going from the practice of medicine, which is as close to perfection as you can be. You have to be very, very close to that.
Mhm.
Then you go into business and you push out what's called your MVP, your minimum viable product. And that's your practice of the med spa. And we would like all our I's dotted, all our T's crossed before we head out. And if you do that, the truth is there's a patient, a client that's out there that's missing your service. And could you repeat what you said? Do it afraid.
Yes, no, absolutely. Again, I do a lot of mentoring, and so when they look at me as a physician, they think that you must be this personality that just is confident in everything you do. And I'm certainly confident in what I do as a physician, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that there aren't other aspects, like, oh, I don't know, starting a business, that you just don't have that level of confidence because you just don't know it. But I didn't let that stop me from taking the next step. And that was how I kind of talked to myself. I just said,
Mhm.
just do the next step. Don't look at the big picture. Don't look at where you want it to be. What is the one thing you can do in this particular moment that will work towards your goal? Because when I looked at the whole picture, I will admit it was very intimidating, and I would almost kind of shut down and say, there's no way I can do that. And so by thinking of it this way, I said, well, maybe I can't do that, but I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing this, it became this, and then became this, and then here I am.
Yeah. A few of this gets you to that. That's
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So from your med spa, I know that you're fairly new at what you're doing. You have a handful of patients there. Do you have a success story you can share from any of the clients that have come in to see you so far?
One of my favorites is I did my first sports medicine treatment with a client, and when he walked out, he seemed to be in more discomfort than when he came in. And with Shockwave, there is more discomfort initially, so I did warn him of that. But to see it, it was different. So I've been referring people for Shockwave ever since I've been here in practice. We don't offer it in my practice. And the only person I knew that offered it in town, I send her all of my people. And so, and I always say, hey, she's going to educate you about the process. There is a phase post-treatment where you're going to be a little more uncomfortable. And seeing that, I was like, oh, I hope he comes back. And he did.
Yeah.
Probably was about a week of discomfort that he admitted to when we did our follow-up. And he said, but then I woke up the next day and there was this change. And I've been dealing with this problem for 3 years and no one's been able to help me. And we were both just really almost teary-eyed because you have this treatment day, you see him walk out, and there is doubt on both sides. And I said, because you're not allowed to take, anti-inflammatories, you kind of want that inflammatory process to come in there and work a little bit. And so then he sends a message and says, okay, how much is the individual treatment? Because in 3 years, something's different, and this difference is huge. Wow. And so we did our second treatment, and he said he did not walk out the door feeling more uncomfortable than he did. Now, I changed a few things, obviously, and we worked with his his process. But that was a huge success because now I'm starting to offer these things in my clinic. I'm not just saying, hey, go to the person that has been established for years and doing this and doing that. So I'm really excited about that. And the glow party is another thing that I'm excited about because when I started my med spa, I always thought the skincare was something I would just kind of farm out to someone else. Mm-hmm. And working with my consultants and working with Intelligent Nutrients and just learning what I've learned thus far, I actually find myself excited about this component. You don't think of sports medicine and skincare. Those two things just don't seem to go together. And once I started learning that looking at skincare as healthcare, because our skin is an organ, it's actually the largest organ in our body, and the things that the micronutrient aspect that affects skincare. I'm actually doing my next quarterly conversation about micronutrients and energy and things of that nature and how it plays into the appearance of our skin, whether it's inflamed or dull or just whatever. So whatever it is you're dealing with your skin, it usually is tied to something from a nutritional standpoint. Just what I've learned and how I can help people, I myself have gotten excited about that. So it's not just, okay, superficial glow party, it's like, we can make some real change here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's value to it. It's value adding. You're going there with a purpose to make people feel better, and they're realizing, hey, I can really feel better, which opens up the door for other things that you can provide those people, which is great. Yes. So as we go to kind of wrap this up here, I've enjoyed my time. I've got 3 questions for you to go.
Okay.
The last one, this one is, if people are interested, we'll share all of your links, but if someone is in the neighborhood, has a clinical question, maybe wants to ask more of you and how you're going about it, how would you like people to reach out to you, or how can they find you online?
I think the easiest way to find me is to go to my website, which is Quiessence MedSpaWellnessCenter.com. And on that page, you'll find the contact page, and you fill that information out. You can tell me what you're interested in. And then I reach back out to you, and if we end up putting you on the schedule, it's a little clunky right now. I'm still working out, fine-tuning things of that nature. But that's the easiest and the best, most direct way. If you happen to run into me, I actually have digital business cards, and that gives you all, I don't know what my camera is at this point, but that gives you all of my contact information from that standpoint to get there. I mean, but I have multiple ways to reach out. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook even. And
Okay.
so certainly getting outside of my comfort zone, because I was
Yeah.
more a private person. So this is a little different for me.
Yeah.
But those are ways to reach out, and you can DM me on either of those,
Okay.
platforms.
Yeah. And again, I'll make sure to share those links in our descriptions below in the podcast and all of our socials that we do share that. So it's great. Last two questions. First one about health. Could you give one piece of advice that could change everyone's health in a positive way? And if that was, what would that advice be?
I think that piece of advice would be your micro habits of health. And the reason I choose that is because, one, what I learned as a client, but how it really feeds into everything. And so just watching what you put into your body manifests itself in so many different ways, in your energy level and building up proteins and muscle stamina, things of that nature. So if we could just look at those micro habits and kind of make changes there, I think that's the biggest change we can do.
Yeah. And again, like you were saying, even in business, small steps turn into bigger steps. Micro adjustments that you do in healthcare are important to do along the way. And because it's a big mindset shift, there's a lot of changes that go into changing health. It's not quite as easy as turning on and turning off the light switch. I wish it was at times to make those, but the micro commitments are easier for that. And again, last question, Dr. Nikki, you're a guest. You've been a great guest on the Prime Health podcast. I ask everybody this question: what would your definition of prime health be?
My definition of prime health is feeling that I've optimized my energy, my stamina, and just my overall performance. I have to throw performance in there because I'm a physical medicine specialist, right? I'm sports medicine minded. And so performance is not only on the athletic field, it's how you make it through your day, through your week. And so prime health to me means doing everything you can to optimize those things.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Again, Dr. Payne, thank you very much for your time here. It's very interesting, your approach into how you went from being a young individual thinking veterinary medicine, orthopedic surgery, going through all of your orthopedic residencies, and then jumping into saying, what about PM&R upon a suggestion? It's kind of the blend of both worlds, which is good. Then deep down, you had this inner feeling of there's something more that I can offer people. Not that I'm doing anything wrong. I want to give them more to it. And you have this Medspa component behind it. And then you create Quiessence. And I think that that's fantastic. What you offer from the clinical perspective to bring in for people is great that they can do that. They really do understand that it's important that, hey, she can treat me clinically from my skill sets of my own body, but then she can also take care of me from an overall perspective. So I think that's great. I do want to tell the viewers and the listeners that are out there, from what Dr. Payne has had to say today, if there's just one thing that a friend, a colleague, anything can learn from a family member, please do share this with them. She has wonderful information, whether you're local to her or not. You can learn from that. We always want our message to be spread, but she's sharing great information. So I would ask that you share this for her. From our side on the Prime Health Podcast, we always love it if you'd subscribe or share this out to them. But as I wrap this up, I always say, until next time, remember that true wellness is a journey we're all on together. Now, whether you're taking charge of your own health or guiding others in theirs, every step forward matters. So please do stay committed to your Prime Health journey. And again, Dr. Payne, thank you so very much for being a great guest here on the Prime Health Podcast.
Thank you, Derek. It was a pleasure talking with you today. I appreciate you so much.